Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it is September 8th and I didn't make videos for the last 2 days. I kind of took a break for 2 days. If you've been watching my vlogs, then you know what I've been up to. I went to my husband's his grandma's 90th birthday. And we saw some different friends over the last week and things like that. And it's just been kind of a really relaxing week. I've also been trying to go to bed a lot earlier. And I found that I was sleeping like 12 to 15 hours a day. And yesterday I had kind of a moment of clarity, and I'm sharing this over here because I'm probably going to share some of my journey with this over here as well. I found myself kind of feeling down. I didn't really know what was going on. I was like, why am I sleeping so much? Number one was my first question. And number two, I would wake up and I would just be lacking complete motivation, which is strange for me because I'm somebody that when I get up in the morning after I've done my prayers and my meditations and my affirmations and my gratitude list and I have my coffee and my glass of water for the day, I'm kind of ready to go. And I always make a list the night before, or I typically make a list the night before of all the things I want to get accomplished the next day, whether that's, the videos that I want to make, or doing the crossword, which I haven't done and I keep on putting on my list, or just errands that I have to run, to reading, books or listening to audiobooks. And there's always so much that I want to, do in a day. And I think when my mom passed away, I realized kind of this, I know this is going to sound strange, but there was kind of a time clock, up above my head that was counting time. We're only here for so many days. And so, I always feel like there's so much that I want to do with my life. And so the last 2 days were kind of strange for me. Well, I would say the last 2 to 4 days were kind of strange for me because I woke up and I felt like I literally was walking through quicksand. It was I just couldn't, I couldn't get motivated and I didn't have any energy. And so yesterday, we had to get ready to, was it yesterday or was it the day before? Yesterday was Labor Day. It was the day before. I had to get ready to go over to Alex's aunt and uncle's house because we were getting together for his grandma's birthday. Was it yesterday that I was feeling that way, or was it the day before? I think it was yesterday that I was feeling like this. So it would have been the day after that. Had a great time with family. And then yesterday, no, it was the day before that I went to go get coffee, and I just was kind of okay, what's going on with you? Why are you sleeping so much? And I don't know what day it was. It doesn't matter. But anyway, I kind of had this moment of clarity where I was I think I'm feeling down. Because when the problems with my back and legs started, I had all this hope, I had all this hope with, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And even though I was completely resistant to a lot of things that were being recommended to me, like physical therapy, I knew that I needed to do it. I just didn't want to do it. But that being said, I was having a hard time, scheduling appointments with my doctor and trying to find out what the plan was going forward and things like that. And I was okay, it's time for me to get in charge of what's going on with my own health again. And I just was I'm not feeling healthy, I'm not feeling good, and all that kind of stuff. So I made the decision. I think that this was on Sunday because I couldn't do anything about it yesterday because of Labor Day. I was on Tuesday, I'm going to call and I'm going to set up this appointment with Alex's back doctor, my husband's back doctor, who is also a family friend. And then I was I'm going to see what they recommend as far as physical therapy. I'm going to find a family doctor because I don't currently have a family doctor, and my sponsor had recommended somebody, and I'm just going to get this stuff going. And I woke up today and I took the dogs out and I did my prayers and meditations, and I was okay, it's time. And I sat down and I called and I got an appointment with this new back doctor. I talked to this fantastic woman that set up the appointment. I think she was his nurse. And I was asking her what to do. And she told me, let's wait until you come in, bring the disc, the result of the imagery from my MRI. And let's see what happens as a result of that. And then, he'll recommend a physical therapist that he works with. And I said something about a family doctor, and she's well, we have several people that we work with. If you're looking for a referral, then you guys will all be kind of in the same, network, not insurance network, but all of them working together. And I was okay, this is fantastic. And she was so nice. She sent the paperwork already and emailed it to me to get started, the pre-registration. I have an appointment next Tuesday because he's only in the Northside office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And after that, I just I felt so empowered again, and I felt this surge of motivation. I was like, okay, I'm back on track. Like, I feel like I'm in charge of what's going on with my own life again, you know, and it felt really inspiring. So I went and got my coffee and I did a review video, and then now I'm here ready to do some meditations with you. And, you know, it's interesting in my life, whether it's my sobriety or other things that have happened, like the passing of my mom and things like that, or when she was in the hospital. Those moments that I have felt like powerless, you know, I've had to do inventory and evaluation to look over what things am I truly powerless over and what things do I have some control over, you know, and there are people, places, and things out there that I just really have no control or power over. And then there are other things that I do, and I need to, you know, acknowledge the difference. And those things that I do, I have to, you know, take some responsibility over saying, okay, this is my health. I've got to get my health in check. I've got to take, you know, a better charge of what's going on with my own life. And you know, once I did that, and like I've done that in my past, you know, when I realized, like when I first got sober, it was like, here's what you do. Okay, you can do this or you cannot do this. And when I started doing those things, my life started to improve. I've always been somebody that works very well with structure. If you give me a list of things 1 through 10, and I can go through and check them off, like I do very, very well in that, you know. And I used to say, I've had a lot of friends of mine that worked in like warehouses and things like that, and I used to say, like one of my friends worked for a company in southern Indiana, and I used to say to him, like I would do, like he worked, you know, on a, what do you call it, an assembly line, and I used to say I would do so well at that, you know, like clocking in and clocking out. And I mean, I know that the work is extremely difficult, standing on your feet all day long and things like that, but to just have to do something, you know, like that, I do very well in that kind of environment. Like tell me what to do and I do it, you know. So now that I've kind of taken some, you know, control back over what I need to do, and I talked to this woman on the phone, she's like, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to, I was like, okay, somebody's telling me what to do to get my health back under control, and I felt so inspired, and I felt very, very hopeful when I got off the phone with her. But, you know, I had to realize that there's a lot of things that I have to do to make sure that that happens. So, you know, I guess this is small in comparison to what so many of you out there suffer, but I would say to any of you out there, if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling hopeless and you're just kind of feeling, because I think that's what happened is I started going like this, and I was like, there's no end in sight with me getting better. My leg and my back were starting to hurt again. It was starting to feel like the way that it was originally, and I was like, if you do not take care of this now, it's going to be 2 months or 6 months from now, and you're going to be right back to where you started again. So, I don't know, to those of you out there that have felt in a similar situation, like ask yourself, what can I do? Do I have any control, or, you know, over the things that I can do? Because there's a lot of things you can. You know, with people that I know that, I've got so many friends of mine that have chronic pain issues, it's only limited what they can do, but that's not my excuse, and I'm not there, so, like, I'm sure they would do whatever they could possibly do to feel better. So for me just to sit around and wait for it to happen is, I mean, it's self-centered, and, you know, and it's, I need to take some control over those things I've gotten back. And so today I feel like, I just came and explained to you guys how inspired and motivated I feel, that I now kind of have direction to what's going on, and I'm very excited about that. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, I brought 4 meditation, oh, they're all falling. I brought 4 meditation books with me, but I think I'm going to read the Melody Baby Journey to the Heart, because that is the one that I am really, really feeling today. Put on my reading glasses. Somebody either sent me these, or the brand sent them to me, and they are these Caddis reading glasses, which I now have 3 pairs of. They say goofy on one side and regular on the other side, and they're tortoise shell, and I love them so much. Okay, so September 8th, let's see what the meditation for today says. It'd be funny if it had something to do with all of what I just talked about on it. September 8th, get out from under the gun. How often in life, in the busy world around us, we begin to feel as though we're under the gun. Daily pressures can mount until our body feels as though someone is actually pointing a gun at us, saying, hurry, finish, do this or else. That feeling is not conducive to joy, creativity, or doing our best. That attitude creates stress, sometimes unbearable stress. Some of us have lived under the gun so long we're not even aware of it, but our bodies are. We feel tense, stressed, frightened, on edge. Many of us have felt that way so long we've gotten used to it. That's just how it is, we say with resignation. But that's not how it needs to be. Gently take the gun away from whoever is pointing it at you. Lay it on the table. Tell that person the task will get done. The situation will come out much better, much more creatively, much more timely without the gun. More importantly, tell yourself that too. Acknowledge commitments. Acknowledge the necessity of timely accomplishments of tasks. Then acknowledge the way and wisdom of the heart with joy. It will see you through to get everything done, and you won't have to be under the gun. Really like that meditation. And I don't know if maybe that's how I felt the last couple days, you know, that led me to needing to take a couple days off. The thing that's so hard for me is the majority of the things, other than, you know, all of this like medical issues that I'm talking about, the majority of the things that I do in my life, whether it's making videos or listening to an audiobook or reading or writing or spending time with my family and whatever, like I love to do all those things. Like I feel like my life is filled with all of these things that I get to do, to the point that I think sometimes, do you ever have so many things that like if you looked at your life on the outside and you sat there and you're like, because I say this a lot, I have a life beyond my wildest dreams, but sometimes those things that you love to do turn into things that you have to do, and it's like you don't realize it and you lose gratitude and you lose, you know, being thankful for what your life is. It's like, you know, the man that gets the life that he wanted and then he doesn't want that life anymore, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that. And so sometimes I think that I need to kind of like a renewal check, like a recharge, you know, where I can get back on track. And like the last 2 days, it was like, first of all, I was lacking complete motivation, but like I really missed making videos. And then today when I went to go do my review video, I was like, oh my God, like I missed this. I forgot how much I missed this, you know? And then you have to realize that things will get done. They will, you know? And I think that's one of the things too, is I used to stress about stuff so much. Like, God, taxes, I used to always stress about so much. I'd be like, I'm never gonna get my taxes done, blah, 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 blah. And I'd always wait till the last minute and all this kind of stuff. We still do. But, you know, I would always stress out. But I don't know when this happened. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago. And I can remember, like, I would even talk about it in meetings a lot. I'd be like, I'm so stressed about my taxes, like I get them done. And this guy came up to me afterwards and he's like, why don't you just sit down and get your taxes done? Like, if you're that stressed about it that you're talking about it on a daily basis, like, why don't you just sit down and get them done? Oh, wow, that's a novel idea. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, okay. Like, maybe I should just sit down instead of worrying about it. Like, you know, my old sponsor used to say to me that 90% of the things I worry about never even happen to begin with. And I remember that year, I was like getting ready. I was like in the shower, honestly, when this happened. And I can remember I had this like a moment of clarity again, where I was like, your taxes are going to get done. Like, you're going to sit down and you're going to get them done. And it was like right after that I sat down and it was sat right here actually, and was watching some movie on TV, and I like put all my receipts together, and it took me hours, but like I got the taxes done that night, and Alex and I got our stuff together and took it to the accountant, you know, and it was done. And I can remember like looking back, it was so easy, you know? It's always that analogy that I use, that when you're on a road trip, you know, and you see like dark clouds in the future, or dark clouds ahead of you, and you know this horrible rainstorm is coming. That's like the thing that you worry about, right? And then, to explain the analogy, and then like there's people pulling off the side of the road, it's starting to rain, it's starting to hail, and you're like white knuckling it, pushing it through, right? And then you're in the middle of the rainstorm, you can hardly see like a foot in front of you. That's like when you're doing the task and you're stressed out, right? Or whatever it is that you're worried about. And then, you know, like if it's a wedding or if it's a funeral or whatever this thing is that you have to do that you're so stressed out about in your life, you know, or some project that you're working on. Okay, my husband walked inside, so let me finish the analogy. So you finish the project that you were working on, or you go to the event that you were, you know, dreading having to go to, or that you were worried about, and maybe you even have an enjoyable time, you know, at the wedding or at the social event that you didn't want to go to. I relate to this a lot with my social anxiety, because I always like work things up, and I'll be like, God, I don't want to go to this, God, I don't want to go to this, because I'm like nervous and I'm fearful and I'm scared inside, right? And then I'll go and I'll have a really good time, you know, or I'll complete this project, like the taxes, like I was talking about, and get it done, and like in retrospect, I'm like, well, that really wasn't that bad, you know, and in fact, I feel better having done it, or I feel like I've learned from that, or, you know, like I accomplished my fear, or getting over my fear, you know. So it's like the storm. Once you make it through the storm, you look in your rearview mirror and you see the storm behind you, and you're like, yeah, that wasn't really that bad, I made it through that. And then, you know, in the future, well, I can make it through many other storms in life, you know. And I've always kind of used that analogy no matter what it is that I'm going through, and especially in the last couple years since I've been trying to like work on my social anxiety and conquer my social anxiety, I use that as kind of like trying to look back at other events that I went to that I was like nervous about, and then I was like, but I had a good time, so let's do this again, you know? And it was funny because I was talking to my neighbor yesterday outside, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but she said something about, well, you would probably really enjoy that because you're so like extroverted and whatever. Said, you know, listen, I said, I have a lot of social anxiety, and I know that people, you know, don't really understand that. And she was like, but you're so friendly. And I said, yes, standing on my lawn, territorial, you know, when it's my territory, you know, or if I prime myself up, I can appear to be very social, but otherwise, like, I'm in my head and I'm nervous about it and I worry about it, and there are things that I don't want to go to, you know, and or things I don't want to do. And I said this, you know, last year I really made a point to get along with my neighbors, meet my neighbors, you know, and like have relationships with my neighbors, because that's important to me, is I want to have relationships with the people that live around me going forward, because I know that I'll enjoy my neighborhood more. Just like I've gone to the pool a lot this summer and I've met a lot of my neighbors, and now when they walk by, they're like, oh, hi Peter, how are you? And you know, it feels safe and it feels nice, and it's nice to drive by people and have them wave to you like they're happy that you live down the street, you know? But that was definitely something that I had to work through. That was definitely one of those storms that I looked at. And now that I do it, I'm not so afraid to do it, you know? But that's always been something that's been very, very hard for me in my life, you know? Because I'm always in my head, like what somebody's saying, what somebody, you know, whatever. But I think that's a lot of what the book was talking about too, where, you know, it says in here about the commitments that you have to do in life. Hold on a second. Where it says in here, but that's not how it has to be. Gently take the gun away from whoever is pointing at you, which many times that's us, you know? Many times that's us in our heads, you know, saying you have to do this thing, you have to do this thing, you have to do this thing. I think that one of the things that helped me was, and it was kind of an evolution, so to speak, was when I realized you don't have to. Like, you really don't. Like, you don't have to do your taxes. Yes, there will be things that happen as a result of that, you know, like you might get some huge penalty and on and on and on. But you don't have to. Like, you could just say, I'm not doing them, you know what I mean? Or you could say, I'm not going to go to this, or I'm not going to go to that. And I did do my taxes every year. But you know, there were a lot of things for a long time that I didn't go to, you know, that I wouldn't go to this bridal shower, or I wouldn't go to this baby shower, or this wedding and whatever. I just was like, no, I don't want to go. I wouldn't go. And then I realized I was missing out so much on life, you know, and I was missing out on a lot of things with my husband. And so today I really try to push myself to go do those things. But I don't think the majority of the people in my life know really how difficult that is for me. It really has gotten a lot easier in the last couple years since I've tried working on it, but I still have to kind of work mentally through, you know, getting to that. I definitely think also that like being on YouTube has helped a lot. It's helped and it's hurt, because being on YouTube, like when I'm sitting here talking to the camera, I don't think to myself that there's going to be hundreds of people that are going to be watching this, right? But it has helped me, and when I read the comments and I'm like, okay, so there's somebody that's sitting in Australia right now watching this, that like, that's so bizarre to me, you know what I mean? Like if you were sitting right in front of me, I probably would be nervous, you know? So it's made it easier for me, and I've learned how to talk to people. And I've always had a gift of the gab. Like I've never had a problem talking, but I have to kind of be comfortable with somebody first, you know? It doesn't take me long to get comfortable with somebody, and once I do, I start talking a lot, but there has to be kind of that like introduction that happens. But the downside of it is that I'm by myself all the time, you know? So I'm at home filming videos. I don't interact with people unless it's like the barista at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, or, you know, like I go to the post office and the woman that works at the post office knows me, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm at home alone a lot, which means that it kind of feeds into that whole mentality of social anxiety to begin with. But how did this video that was supposed to be about like accomplishing goals turn into that, you know? But it's something that I've had to work on. And I think the person I think in my life that has held me the most, I would say, under fire for getting things done has definitely been myself. Like I'm really, really hard on myself about those things. Once I started relaxing a little bit and going not against the grain, but with the river of life, and I started really enjoying, you know, the things that I was doing, I was like, whew, like, I love my life, you know? Like, I have a really great life that I get to do these things, you know? So anyway, I think it's all in perspective, you know? Perspective for me is 80% probably of how I, you know, what happens to me and how I look at it, you know? It's all in what am I doing every day, and am I enjoying it, and, you know, and how do I look at that? Do I look at it as something that I have to do, or do I look at it as something that I'm allowed to do, that I get to do, you know? Like, when you start looking at things like that, it's a completely, you know, different way of looking at the world, you know? Like, I was thinking about this with my in-laws. Like I mentioned that it was Alex's grandma's birthday, you know, and, you know, I have amazing in-laws. I love my in-laws. I feel so blessed to have the in-laws that I have, and that I was just so accepted into the family. But, you know, there's a lot of people that don't feel that way, but they still have great relationships with their family, right? And, like, I have so many of my friends that when they have to go do family stuff, they're like, oh, I don't want to go do this, you know? And I'm like, yeah, but do you know how blessed you are that your mom is still alive, or that you have aunts and uncles to go do things? I mean, I don't have that anymore, you know? And I don't, like, I really try not to say that to my friends, because that's kind of like an unfair guilt trip, you know? But it is the reality, you know? It is the reality that, you know, even if you don't, like, and I'm not talking about, like, huge family issues, but I'm talking about, like, maybe it's just, like, your mom's gonna, like, you know, guilt trip you about not coming over to visit enough, like my mom used to do, you know? But I think, like, in retrospect, I definitely would take the guilt tripping to have her still in my life today, you know? So it's like, I think looking at things and really realizing from a different perspective, you know, maybe standing, if you ever saw the movie Dead Poets Society, when he has all the students stand on the desk when they're leaving that first day of class, it's like looking at the classroom in a different way. You know, look at your relationships with people in a different way, and the things that you have to do, you know? Are they things that you have to do in your life, or are they things that you get to do because of the circumstances that you have made for yourself, you know? And a lot of us are very blessed to have the lives that we have, and that's where gratitude comes into play too. So I love that meditation for the day. Anyway, feeling inspired, feeling motivated. I'm gonna get off here now. I think this is like a 20-minute video probably. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.